The fateful slip. Kieran Thorne straightened his diplomatic robes as the massive doors to the throne room opened. Zephyria's capital gleamed with crystalline structures that caught the light of 3 suns, but nothing prepared him for the sight of Queen Ravenna Solis. She sat upon a throne of living crystal, her skin shimmering with an iridescent quality that shifted between silver and deep violet. Her hair cascaded like liquid starlight, and her eyes, sharp and ancient, fixed upon him with an intensity that made his breath catch. Ambassador Thorne, her voice resonated through the chamber, melodic yet commanding. You come seeking peace between our worlds. Kieran bowed deeply. Yes, Your Majesty. The Coalition believes. The Coalition believes many things, she interrupted, rising gracefully. But words are cheap. Show me why I should trust humanity. For 2 hours, they debated terms. Kieran found himself captivated not just by her power, but by the sharp intelligence behind every word. She challenged him, tested him, and somewhere in the dance of negotiation, he forgot himself. If we could establish trade routes through the Andros sector, my love, both our people would. Silence crashed through the throne room like a physical force. Kieran's blood turned to ice. The assembled courtiers gasped collectively. Lady Vesper, the Queen's chief advisor, stepped forward with alarm etched across her features. Ravenna remained perfectly still, but her eyes widened fractionally. Something flickered across her face. Shock, perhaps, or was it something else entirely? The air itself seemed to crackle with tension. Clear the room, Ravenna commanded, her voice dangerously soft. The courtiers fled. Even Lady Vesper hesitated only a moment before bowing and retreating. Kieran stood alone before the Queen, his career, possibly his life, hanging in the balance. He opened his mouth to apologize, but Ravenna raised a hand. You will come to my private quarters tonight, she said, descending the steps toward him. We will discuss this incident, away from prying eyes and eager ears. She passed close enough that he caught her scent, something like night-blooming flowers and ozone. Do not be late, Ambassador. Behind closed doors. Kieran's hands trembled as he followed the silent guard through corridors that grew progressively more intimate. Gone were the grand hallways. Here, walls curved organically, embedded with softly glowing minerals that pulsed like heartbeats. The guard stopped before a door that seemed grown rather than built. It opened soundlessly. Ravenna's private chambers took his breath away. A bioluminescent garden grew inside, impossible trees with translucent leaves, flowers that chimed softly in an unfelt breeze. Through an open archway, he glimpsed her standing on a balcony overlooking the city, her formal regalia replaced by flowing garments that moved like water. Your Majesty, he began. Do you know how long I have ruled Zephyria? She asked without turning. The records say 3 centuries. 417 years. She finally faced him. Without the crown and ceremonial armor, she looked younger, more vulnerable. 4 centuries of duty. Of distance. A queen cannot afford weakness, Ambassador. She cannot afford tenderness. Kieran took a cautious step closer. I apologize for my slip. It was exhaustion, nothing more. Was it? Her eyes searched his face. Because when you said it, there was something in your voice. Something I have not heard directed at me in longer than you can imagine. The admission hung between them. Kieran felt the weight of protocol warring with the pull of something deeper, something that had been building through their hours of debate. You fascinate me, he said quietly. Your intelligence, your strength. I forgot myself because talking with you felt less like negotiation and more like. Like what? She moved closer, and he could see the faint pattern of scales along her neck that caught the garden's light. Like coming home. Ravenna's breath caught. For a moment, the fearsome queen disappeared, replaced by someone achingly lonely. I brought you here to reprimand you. To remind you of protocol and boundaries. And now. She reached out, her fingers hovering near his face but not quite touching. Now I find myself hoping you might slip again. Part 3. Dangerous Territory. Over the following weeks, the peace negotiations became an elaborate dance. By day, they maintained perfect diplomatic distance in the council chambers. Ravenna was imperious, demanding, giving no quarter. Kieran matched her, advocating for his people with passion and precision. But nights were different. Kieran found himself summoned regularly to the private quarters. They would sit in the bioluminescent garden, talking for hours about everything except treaties. She told him of Zephyria's history, of becoming queen at an age when she still believed in fairy tales. He shared stories of Earth, of childhood dreams and diplomatic mishaps that made her laugh, a sound so rare that Lady Vesper had commented on the Queen's improved mood. "Your people fear you," Kieran observed one evening, sitting beside her on a bench carved from living wood. "Fear maintains order." But her voice lacked conviction. Respect could do the same. Love could do more. Ravenna turned to him, close enough that he felt the warmth radiating from her skin. "And what would you know of love, Ambassador? You've been here barely a month. Long enough to recognize it growing." His hand found hers, their fingers intertwining. Her skin was softer than he'd imagined, warmer. She didn't pull away. "This is dangerous, Kieran. My people have never accepted the idea of their queen showing such preference, especially toward an outsider." "Then we'll be careful." "Careful." A sad smile touched her lips. "I am a queen. There is no careful. There is only duty or scandal." He lifted her hand to his lips, pressing a gentle kiss to her knuckles. "Then let me be your scandal." Ravenna's composure cracked. She leaned into him, her forehead resting against his shoulder. "I have been alone so long," she whispered. "I had forgotten what it feels like to simply be seen." Kieran wrapped his arms around her, feeling her relax into the embrace. They stayed like that as the garden's lights pulsed around them, two people from different worlds finding solace in proximity. When she finally looked up at him, her eyes held a question. He answered it by cupping her face gently and bringing his lips to hers. The kiss was soft at first, tentative, a first step into unknown territory. Then Ravenna's hands slid up his chest, curling into his shirt, and the kiss deepened into something hungry, something that had been building since that first accidental endearment. Dangerous territory. Over the following weeks, the peace negotiations became an elaborate dance. By day, they maintained perfect diplomatic distance in the council chambers. Ravenna was imperious, demanding, giving no quarter. Kieran matched her, advocating for his people with passion and precision. But nights were different. Kieran found himself summoned regularly to the private quarters. They would sit in the bioluminescent garden, talking for hours about everything except treaties. She told him of Zephyria's history, of becoming queen at an age when she still believed in fairy tales. He shared stories of Earth, of childhood dreams and diplomatic mishaps that made her laugh, a sound so rare that Lady Vesper had commented on the Queen's improved mood. "Your people fear you," Kieran observed one evening, sitting beside her on a bench carved from living wood. "Fear maintains order." But her voice lacked conviction. Respect could do the same. Love could do more. Ravenna turned to him, close enough that he felt the warmth radiating from her skin. "And what would you know of love, Ambassador? You've been here barely a month. Long enough to recognize it growing." His hand found hers, their fingers intertwining. Her skin was softer than he'd imagined, warmer. She didn't pull away. "This is dangerous, Kieran. My people have never accepted the idea of their queen showing such preference, especially toward an outsider." "Then we'll be careful." "Careful." A sad smile touched her lips. "I am a queen. There is no careful. There is only duty or scandal." He lifted her hand to his lips, pressing a gentle kiss to her knuckles. "Then let me be your scandal." Ravenna's composure cracked. She leaned into him, her forehead resting against his shoulder. "I have been alone so long," she whispered. "I had forgotten what it feels like to simply be seen." Kieran wrapped his arms around her, feeling her relax into the embrace. They stayed like that as the garden's lights pulsed around them, two people from different worlds finding solace in proximity. When she finally looked up at him, her eyes held a question. He answered it by cupping her face gently and bringing his lips to hers. The kiss was soft at first, tentative, a first step into unknown territory. Then Ravenna's hands slid up his chest, curling into his shirt, and the kiss deepened into something hungry, something that had been building since that first accidental endearment. Secrets and consequences. The treaty was nearly complete when Lady Vesper requested a private audience. "You play a dangerous game, Ambassador," she said without preamble. "The Queen's Council grows suspicious. There are whispers." Kieran's stomach tightened. "We've been discreet." "Not discreet enough." Ravenna smiles now. She delays council meetings. Last week, she wore flowers from her private garden in her hair. Vesper's expression softened slightly. "I have served her for a century. I have never seen her happy until you arrived." "Then why warn me?" "Because happiness makes her vulnerable, and vulnerability in a queen invites coup. There are factions who would use this against her." Vesper stepped closer. "Do you love her, or is she merely an exotic conquest?" "I love her," Kieran said without hesitation. "More than I thought possible." Vesper studied him, then nodded slowly. "Then you must protect her. Even if it means walking away." That night, Kieran found Ravenna waiting in the garden, tension evident in every line of her body. "They know," she said. "The council has demanded I end whatever this is between us. They threatened to reject the treaty, to paint me as compromised." Kieran pulled her close. "We'll find another way." "There is no other way. I'm queen first, always. I thought." Her voice broke. "I thought perhaps this time could be different." He tilted her face up, memorizing every detail. "It is different. What we have, no one can take that away." She kissed him fiercely, desperately. They sank onto the soft moss, hands exploring, memorizing. She whispered his name like a prayer, and he showed her with touch what words couldn't express, that she was seen, cherished, loved not for her crown but for herself. Later, wrapped in each other's arms beneath the glowing trees, Ravenna traced patterns on his chest. "I will sign your treaty tomorrow. And then you must leave Zephyria." "No. Kieran." "I'm not leaving you. Let them threaten. Let them disapprove. I meant what I said, I love you." Tears slipped down her luminous cheeks. "And I love you. Which is why I cannot let you sacrifice everything for me." A new beginning. The Sylvari High Council chamber was intimidating, a circular room with crystalline walls that seemed to pulse with ancient power. 7 council members sat in elevated seats, their expressions carved from ice. Jace stood beside Sora, acutely aware he was the only human in the room. His formal petition had delayed his transfer by 2 weeks, but if this failed, he'd be gone tomorrow. Commander Thalen stood opposite them, his face twisted with disapproval. "Honored Council, this case is simple. Captain Valen violated sacred law by forming a romantic attachment with an alien. Our codes exist for good reason, to maintain discipline and prevent weakness in our warriors. Captain Valen has served with distinction for 15 years, the eldest council member said, her voice like wind chimes. What defense do you offer for breaking your vows? Sora stepped forward, spine straight. I offer no defense for my actions, honored council. I broke the law knowingly, and I accept the consequences. But I do question whether the law itself still serves our people. Murmurs rippled through the chamber. Such direct challenge was nearly unheard of. Explain yourself, another council member demanded. Our isolation laws were written when we feared contamination from other species, when we believed contact would weaken us. Sora's voice rang clear and strong. But we've been part of the Galactic Alliance for 50 years now. We fight alongside humans, trade with them, live beside them. How can we claim they weaken us when they've proven themselves worthy allies? This is about more than alliance, Thalen interjected. It's about maintaining the purity of our warrior culture. With respect, Commander, purity through isolation is stagnation. Sora gestured to Jace. During the recent pirate attack, this human and I saved 12 lives working together. Our connection didn't compromise my effectiveness. It enhanced it. I fought harder, thought clearer, because I had something precious to protect. Love makes warriors vulnerable, Thalen insisted. Does it? Jace found his voice, stepping forward despite his nerves. Honored Council, may I speak? The eldest member inclined her head. Proceed, human. I'm just an engineer, not a soldier. But I've watched Sora lead her troops, and I've seen how they follow her. Do you know why? Not because she's ruthless or cold. It's because she cares about them. She remembers their names, their families, their hopes. His voice grew stronger. That capacity to care, that's not weakness. That's exactly what makes her an extraordinary warrior. Silence fell over the chamber. The council members exchanged glances, communicating in subtle ways Jace couldn't interpret. You ask us to overturn centuries of tradition, the eldest said finally. What exactly do you propose? Sora took a breath. Amend the law to allow warriors the freedom to form relationships as they choose, with accountability for maintaining their duties. Trust your warriors to be strong enough to balance both love and honor. And if we refuse? If we uphold the law and exile you? Then I accept exile with honor. Sora's voice didn't waver. I will never regret loving someone worthy of love. If that makes me unfit to be Sylvari in your eyes, then perhaps I no longer understand what being Sylvari truly means. The council deliberated for hours. Jace and Sora waited in an antechamber, hands clasped together, neither speaking. What was there to say? They'd given everything they had. Finally, they were summoned back. The eldest council member stood. Captain Valen, we have reviewed your service record, the testimonials from your squad, and the evidence of your conduct during crisis situations. We have also considered the changing nature of our society and our place in the galaxy. Jace's heart hammered so hard he thought everyone could hear it. While we cannot condone the breaking of established law, we acknowledge that perhaps this law no longer serves its intended purpose. Therefore, we are issuing an official amendment. Sylvari warriors may engage in romantic relationships with other species, provided such relationships do not demonstrably compromise their duties. Relief flooded through Jace, but the council member wasn't finished. However, Captain Valen, your deliberate violation of standing law cannot go without consequence. We are offering you a choice: return to active duty with a formal reprimand on your record, or accept an honorable discharge with full pension and benefits. Sora stood silent for a long moment. Then she said clearly, I choose honorable discharge. Gasps echoed through the chamber. Even Jace looked at her in shock. You would leave the military? Thalen sputtered. After everything? I would choose freedom, Sora replied. I've served the Sylvari Empire faithfully for 15 years. I'm proud of that service. But I'm ready for a new chapter, one where I decide my own path. The council members nodded slowly. Then it is decided. Captain Valen, you are hereby honorably discharged from the Sylvari military, with our gratitude for your service and our blessings for your future. 3 months later, Jace stood in the observation deck of Nexus Station Theta, watching ships drift past. Arms wrapped around him from behind, and he smiled. Couldn't sleep. Sora's voice was warm against his ear. Just thinking about everything that's changed. She moved beside him, and he marveled at how different she looked now. Still beautiful, still strong, but softer somehow. Happier. Any regrets? He asked. About leaving the military? Sora considered. Sometimes. I miss my squad. But the station's security chief position suits me. I still protect people, but now I come home to you every night. That's worth any sacrifice. The council's law change is spreading, Jace said. I heard 2 more warrior planets are considering similar amendments. Good. Sora leaned her head on his shoulder. Maybe someday love won't be seen as weakness anywhere. Maybe someday we'll just be normal. Jace laughed. There's nothing normal about us. A human engineer and a legendary warrior who collided in a docking bay and accidentally fell in love. The best accident of my life. She turned to kiss him softly. Though I still maintain you should watch where you're going. And I maintain it was destiny. Destiny. Sora smiled that smile he loved, the one reserved only for him. Perhaps you're right. After all, how else could something so improbable turn out so perfect? They stood together, watching the stars, two souls who'd found each other against impossible odds. The collision that changed everything had become the beginning of everything. And in the vast, endless cosmos, that felt exactly right. The end.